kidney diseases have plagued the villages of Madukare for many years. For 335 families that once relied on impure water, there's some hope. A water purification project by Gammadda. Gammadda, for the people, by the people.
Good afternoon. Today is the 11th of July 2022. Welcome to the lunchtime news here on TV1 for the News First team, where the people come first. I'm Sanita Senanayaka. Before we take a look at the stories in detail, let's take a look at your headlines. President tells Prime Minister that he will step down. Peaceful protesters demand immediate resignations.
Gotabaya Rajapaksatai, Ranil Wickremesinghe Rajapaksatai අපි කියන්න ඕනේ මේ වෙනකොට ඔයාලගේ රජය failed.
The Prime Minister must also resign, a demand from multiple factions. Party leaders to meet today on the new government. Litro increases prices and distribution begins. No Indian troop deployment in Sri Lanka, says the Indian High Commission. On to your top story this afternoon. Sri Lanka's President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has informed Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe that he will resign. This was announced by the Prime Minister's media division this morning. However, after tens of thousands of protesters stormed the official residence of both men on Saturday, the party leaders had informed the Speaker that both the President and the Prime Minister must resign immediately. Thereafter, the Speaker had informed the President of the party leaders' decision, and the President had then informed the Speaker that he would step down on Wednesday, the 13th of July. However, the groups involved in the Aragarya demanded the Prime Minister also step down, rather than issuing statements that the President would resign.
This message is to Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Ranil Wickremesinghe Rajapaksa. Your government has failed. Social media reports claim that you are trying to take control of this struggle by deploying troops. Since we are united, the struggle continues. There is no real president, although legally there is one. There is no prime minister as well. He is prime minister only according to the books. His appointment was illegal. He has no right to be sworn in to that position even for a day. Therefore, this corrupt president and the prime minister are not the leaders of the people. They have been chased away. But the entire country can see that they are trying to remain in power. There are media reports coming out saying that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has officially informed the prime minister of his resignation on the 13th. But no one is talking about the resignation of Ranil Wickremesinghe. Does he have the right to remain in his seat? No. Both of them must resign on the 13th. After they resign, the Speaker and the Parliament must convene, make a decision and announce it to the public.
Meanwhile, the Church of Ceylon has called for the immediate resignation of the President and the Prime Minister. The Church of Ceylon said that the President has to take personal responsibility for driving this country to a state of bankruptcy, and a term of office can only be legitimate if the people still have the confidence in the individual. It said that the overwhelming call for his resignation from religious leaders to civil society and the average man and woman on the street is a clear reflection that he has no mandate to govern this country anymore. The Church of Ceylon called for the immediate resignation of the Prime Minister, who never had the legitimacy to hold office, noting that it is clear that there is no plan and no action to revive the economy other than the people having to tighten their belts and die in queues. In addition, the Church of Ceylon called on the police and armed forces to act with discernment and restraint in the next few days as the people are agitating for their lives and livelihood to be restored.
We must make it clear that the Samagi Jana Balavegya is ready to form an all-party government. The president has informed that he will be stepping down. People are demanding that both President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe resign. So without allowing the situation in the country to deteriorate any further, we request the Prime Minister to resign immediately.
එතුමාට වහාම ඉල්ලා අස්ු වෙන්න කියලා ඉවරලා අපි පැහැදිලිවම කියන්න කැමතියි.
Citizens from across the country continue to make their way to Colombo to witness the president's house and office that were overrun by peaceful protesters over the weekend. For some, this is the first time they are getting closer to what was once heavily protected premises.
On Saturday, the 9th of July, Sri Lankans occupied the heavily guarded President's House and President's Office in Colombo. The peaceful protesters who continue to occupy the premises demand the immediate resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and claim that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has no moral right to remain in his post. They have affirmed that until expected constitutional reforms are met, both premises will not be returned to the state. Security was increased around the President's house last night. However, that did not stop the hundreds of Sri Lankans who continue to visit the premises. The demonstrations at the Gota-Gokama protest site in Galface are continuing for the 94th day today. The people are demanding both the President and Prime Minister to resign immediately and not wait until the 13th. A large number of peaceful protesters are currently protesting peacefully opposite the President's office. Hundreds of people have been gathering at the Gota-Gokama protest site since last night. A special party leaders meeting is to be held at 2 p.m. today to discuss Sri Lanka's future political course. Parliament's Department of Communications said the meeting is to be held via Zoom. The appointment of a new president and the formation of a new government after Gotabaya Rajapaksa steps down on the 13th of July will be discussed at today's meeting.
Taking a look at a headline-making story this afternoon, the Indian High Commission in Colombo had categorically denied speculative reports in sections of media and social media about India sending her troops to Sri Lanka. The High Commission tweeted, "These reports and such reviews are also not in keeping with the position of the Government of India." The Indian High Commission in Colombo also tweeted, "The spokesperson of Ministry of External Affairs of India clearly stated that India stands with the people of Sri Lanka as they seek to realize their aspirations for prosperity and progress through democratic means and values, established institutions and constitutional framework." The Indian Ministry of External Affairs official spokesperson said, quote, "India is Sri Lanka's closest neighbor and our two countries share deep civilizational bonds," end quote. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar yesterday said the Indian government has always been supportive of Sri Lanka and it was trying to help the neighboring country through its present economic crisis and made it clear that there was no refugee crisis right now. Speaking to reporters outside the Thiruvananthapuram airport after arriving in the state capital on a 3-day visit, Jaishankar said, quote unquote, "We have been very supportive of Sri Lanka. We are trying to help and we are always very helpful where they are concerned." In some more local news, Litro gas has increased the maximum retail price of a 12.5 kilogram domestic cooking gas cylinder by 50 rupees to 4,910 rupees. Litro will begin LP gas distribution for the first time in a month today.
For weeks,
weeks, people were forced to wait in line to purchase cooking gas after the country's reserves dropped, resulting in delays in imports. Litro said that the distribution of domestic cooking gas cylinders will commence from today for Colombo and suburbs, and for other areas the distribution will commence on the 13th of July. Litro Gas has increased the maximum retail price of a 12.5 kilogram domestic cooking gas cylinder by 50 rupees to 4,910 rupees. Litro said that the electricity bill for May 2022 must be produced at a time of purchase to prevent unnecessary hoarding. Meanwhile, Litro Chairman Mudita Pires elaborated on the price hike and the distribution process.
We have planned to issue cylinders from today afternoon. We'll be issuing about 20 to 30,000 cylinders for the time being today. We have received one cargo shipment last night, midnight, which carried 3,724 metric tons. We expect the distribution to start around 12:30 today afternoon. And also from tomorrow morning, we are planning to distribute about 70,000, and the Colombo district will be given priority. After tomorrow, every single day, we have planned to issue 80,000 12.5 kg cylinders, as well as 5 kg and 2.3 kg 20,000 each. I am sure we can get rid of all the long queues by 31st July. We have already confirmed up to 33,000 metric tons for the month of July. Colombo price 12.5 kg cylinder 4,860, but from today we'll be increasing it by 50 rupees.
Sri Lanka police said that SSP Lanka, attached to the police special task force, has been interdicted with immediate effect. He was interdicted over the attacks on Newsfirst journalists who were reporting on the protest that took place close to the Prime Minister's private residence on Saturday, and for failing to prevent the attacks. The decision was made as per the powers vested with the Inspector General of Police and with approval from the Public Services Commission.
On the 9th of July 2022, Newsfirst journalists who were reporting on the protests that took place close to the Prime Minister's private residence in Colombo were brutally attacked by police officers and police special task force personnel. A Newsfirst team that rushed to the scene to hospitalize their injured colleagues were also attacked by police officers and police special task force personnel. Evidence of this attack was televised by Newsfirst, and the footage recorded by Newsfirst clearly showed that the police special task force's SSP Interdicted gave a signal to his troops before the brutal attacks. On Sunday, Newsfirst also revealed that a person in civil attire was moving about with the police officers from the moment that Newsfirst journalists were attacked. Ever since the footage of this man was aired on Newsfirst, the general public have come forward with information. He is identified as SSP Nizam Jamaldeen, the director of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's security division. Was it director of the Prime Minister's security division, Nizam Jamaldeen, who ordered the attacks on Newsfirst's journalists? What was his duty at the scene? To be dressed in civil attire. Did SSP Interdicted order the STF personnel to continue to assault unarmed Newsfirst journalists based on orders given by Nizam Jamaldeen? What action will be taken against SSP Nizam Jamaldeen, who stood by and watched as Newsfirst journalists were brutally beaten? What action will be taken against the other police officers and STF personnel who repeatedly attacked the unarmed Newsfirst journalists? MTV Channel Private Limited, in a letter to the IGP, demanded that the Special Task Force officers and police officers who illegally and unlawfully brutally attacked Newsfirst journalists should be charged under provisions of the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman or Degrading Treatment or Punishment Act. MTV Channel Private Limited stressed that the said officers are liable to be prosecuted under the said Act, which is also the Torture Act of Sri Lanka.
In more local news, civil organizations and multi-party collective is engaged in a protest right now. The protesters condemn the attacks carried out on journalists by military and police personnel. The protesters are also demanding that the law be enforced against the shooting which was carried out inside the president's house in Fort. This protest is organized by civil organizations and multi-party collective. These protesters condemn the attacks carried out on journalists by military and police personnel. The footage that you're witnessing right now was captured a short while ago inside the president's house in I beg your pardon, the protest is being held at the police headquarters. These protesters are also demanding that the law be enforced against the shooting which was carried out inside the president's house in Fort. Meanwhile, several views were expressed regarding the attacks carried out against Newsfirst journalists opposite the Prime Minister's residence.
An individual commenced a fast unto death opposite the House Staff Court complex this morning. He demanded the suppression of media carried out by the current government stopped immediately. According to a correspondent, the protester is a resident of Norelia. The Sirasa journalists were attacked. Who are the ones who gave the orders? Who headed that? All of those people were out on the streets to take the country into a better position. Meanwhile, Ceylon Teachers Union convened a media briefing in Kalutara today and expressed views regarding the government's suppression of the media. The people have the right to obtain information about the Aragalaya. It is the responsibility of journalists to report on the Aragalaya. We interpret this as freedom of speech. The Rajapaksa regime has violated the public's right to information. Moreover, they have had a bad history in terms of suppressing the media. This attack is not on just one news organization, but an attack on journalists everywhere in the world. We urge all government factions to carry out an investigation. We saw security officials attacking journalists from Sirasa. We condemn that. The Sirasa media network is important for fishermen and farmers around the country. We are saddened by these attacks. We request the perpetrators behind this attack be brought before the law. We decided to stop setting sail until the president resigns. Women for Rights organization expressed views regarding the incident yesterday.
Journalist Sarasi Piris only said one thing. She said not to attack them. She was attacked in the head. You saw how she was attacked.
Another phase of the Divisavya program to distribute dried rations among families in need was held in the Colombo district today. The program is sponsored by LOLC Holdings.
The second phase of the Divisavya program is continuing for the fourth day today. Several teams distributed dry rations among people in many areas, including Padukka in the Colombo district today. The Divisavya program aims at supporting low-income families amidst the economic crisis.
In international news, at least 15 people have been killed and more than 20 are feared buried under rubble after Russian rockets struck an apartment block in a town in eastern Ukraine.
Some victims have been brought out alive. The death toll was given by a Ukrainian emergency services official. One side of the 5-story building was ripped apart, leaving a mountain of rubble. The town is near the city of Kramatorsk in Donetsk region. Donetsk is the focus of the Russian push. The region's governor said the destruction was caused by Russian rockets. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the strikes on the residential block were carried out deliberately. Rescuers used a crane and picked through the rubble by hand on Sunday, looking for more than 20 people still said to be trapped, including a child. Video released by Ukraine's emergencies ministry showed rescue workers pulling a man out from underneath the collapsed building.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, where the people come first, I'm Sanitha Senanayak. Take care and stay safe.
Kidney diseases have plagued villages of Madukare for many years. For 335 families that once relied on impure water, there's some hope. A water purification project by Gammadda. Gammadda, for the people, by the people.